We're back with the next episode of Anand Sahib. Now, in the last verse, if you remember, we were talking about how worldly attachments can burn us and can harm us. So this episode, we're going to be exploring what is it in life that's really worth holding on to. So verse 30 of Anand Sahib starts with, Hari is invaluable and is not obtained at any price. No amount given by anyone can obtain it, though many have struggled and failed. But if you find such a true Guru who removes the self from within, surrender your head to them. You will unite with whom your being belongs to, and Hari will embed in the mind. O Nanak, Hari is invaluable, and so is their fortune who Hari unites with. Let's think about our lives. Think about all the different things that we place value on, all the different things that we cherish and we put a price on, things that we think are the most important to us. The things that we put a price on that can be quantified with some monetary value are things like our house, our possessions, our car, even your time has a value. When you go to work, you know that if you put in a certain number of hours, you will be paid a certain amount. Even land that you may own, all of these things are bought and sold with money. And then there are other things that we value, but you can't put a price on. There are things that are still so precious to us, but are precious in different ways. And these are things like our relationships. We have relationships with our partners, with our family members, our children, our friends. And if you notice that the value that you place on them actually changes over time. So think about when you were a child, how much value you placed on your parents. Your parents were absolutely your whole world, and you relied on them, you needed them. And as you grow into adulthood, then your value for them changes, and you might value other things. You value your friendships, you value your romantic partners, but you might spend less time with your parents. So the things that you value, whether they're to do with money or not, actually change in our lives over time. And this is kind of what the previous verse actually warned us about when it talked about Maya, and it talked about how attachment to the world can come in so many different disguises. You know, at some point, Maya looks like the love of your partner. At some point, it looks like the joy of having children. At some point, it is the joy that we get from having worldly success or succeeding in our career. There are so many different ways that we can believe in this delusion of life. Remember, that's what Maya means. In believing, in falling for the trick, in not being able to see what it really is. And so in order to avoid the trap of attachments, and remember the reason we're trying to avoid attachments is because attachments lead to suffering. And the way to do that is we have to learn to enjoy and value things in life with detachment. So notice those two words. We need to learn to value things in life, enjoy things in life, but not be attached to them. And the way we do this is by recognizing something greater behind it, recognizing that there is a oneness in all the things that we love, no matter what shape it takes or what form it takes. The things that we attach to, you can actually train your brain into thinking about it in a different way, attaching yourself to that one essence that's behind it all. So you recognize that one essence in no matter what form it takes. And so something to bear in mind here, something to notice, is that the same thing in life can be Maya to you or can be divine, can be a delusion or can be Hari. So notice how we're not really talking about changing the things that you attach to. That's a really important point. And I think far too often when people go down a spiritual journey, they think they need to make changes to their lifestyle, to the people that they're attached to. And while to some extent that's true, You do need to have a group of people that complement your own mental well-being. You do need to have a set of practices. But that change isn't the ultimate change. The ultimate change is the change that happens within you. And that is a change of perception. That is a change of looking at life in a different way. That's what really needs to change. And so when we begin to start seeing that there's the same universal essence in absolutely everything that's manifesting in lots of different forms, then what you're starting to do is you're now beginning to swim deeper into the ocean of life rather than being someone who's just floating at the waves. I don't know if you've ever watched any of these nature documentaries, and sometimes they'll show the marine wildlife, the whales and the seals who are diving deep into the ocean. And when they come up to the surface of the ocean may be really still, or it could be really turbulent, but as soon as they go underwater again, then it's always calm. So there is a level of the ocean that's always calm, and then there is the surface level that's always changing. And the point of this analogy is that's actually true of you and me. Deep within us, there is a stillness, there is a calmness, there is the ability to be tranquil no matter what is happening at the surface level. So storms may come and go, and circumstances in life may change. There may be highs and lows, but within you there is this bliss or anand or calm that is constant, and it's always there throughout. And so for the Gurmukh, the one who has learnt this enlightened way of living, the awakened person, this realization, this clarity that there is something behind the ups and downs of life, there is something that is serene and tranquil, that realization becomes the most precious thing in their life. That's the only thing that's worth holding on to. And this is really what this verse is starting to get us to understand. And the verse begins by saying, Har aap amulak hai, mul na paya jaa-ay. Hari is invaluable and is not obtained at any price. Mul na paya jaa-ay kisai vitahu, rahay lok villaa-ay. No amount given by anyone can obtain it, though many have struggled and failed. Now let's think about in our life how we place value on things. Think about how you decide how valuable something is. And the way that we do that is by comparing it with similar things. If you are looking to buy something at the store and there are 2 or 3 similar products, how do you decide which one is the one that's right for you? The way you do it is by comparing what the different things are, what the different functions are, what the different abilities are of the product that you're trying to buy, and then you'll be able to decide whether something is the right value for you. And so being able to compare is a really big part of understanding how we value things. And another way that things are valued in shops is certainly true, is if there is a high demand for something, but there is a low supply of it. So that's another reason why something might have a really high price. Now, in life, what if there was something that absolutely everybody was looking for, but there's only one of them? How much value would that hold? If you found something that totally transformed your life, if you found something that enriches your day-to-day experience in every way, what price would you pay for that? How valuable would you find that? And the question then we really have to ask ourselves is, how does this apply to me? What is this thing that is so precious, that's even more precious, as this verse is trying to suggest, even more precious than my family relationships, even more precious than my own well-being, than all the things that I've built around me in my life? What is it that can be so precious? What is the importance of peace? Why are we giving so much importance to peace? Now go back to our understanding of why did you get all those things in the first place? Why have you surrounded yourself with all these comforts in life, whether it's relationships or whether it's material things? Why did you do it? Because We are all, every man, woman and child are searching for something. We're actually searching for a way to find peace. And the question is, can you really have this much peace in your life? And what are the methods that others have tried? Notice this line here, rahay lok villaa-ay. So many people have struggled and failed to find this ultimate, most valuable, most precious thing in life. People have tried so many different ways to find lasting peace, and the way that they've done it is by valuing temporary things, transient things, by thinking that I'm going to feel peaceful by valuing different things and then trying to gain them, trying to bring them into my life. Now, that applies right throughout the spectrum of our life. If we place value on our body, we've placed value on wealth, we've placed value on success, on relationships, on pleasures, and we work tirelessly to try and achieve these things that we value. We know that these are the things that are important to us, and it's worth spending time and effort to try and bring them into our life. And how do we pay for these things? Well, some of these things we pay for with money, but how did we get that money in the first place? We put a lot of our own time and effort in. So we are actually paying with our day-to-day life, with our time, with our effort to bring these things in. We also pay with things with our thoughts, with our concerns, with our attention. We value our friends, our family, our loved ones, and so we put a lot of attention on them. Remember, ages ago, the Guru has been telling you all along, all this family, this is not going to go with you. Why do you put so much attention on them? The Guru is trying to point you to something that is even more valuable, something that's even more precious, that you need to spend more time on, more effort on. Because all of these things that we are valuing, all the things that we are trying to gain in our life, we're doing it with one hope. The hope is that when we get enough of these things, it's going to transform our experience of life. It's going to enrich our lives. And the Guru is saying, what if there was something closer to you, right here, but you didn't know how to access it? Remember in verse 19, all the things that we value, the Guru called it gur, and that word means garbage, something that's totally worthless, because ultimately it's going to be thrown away. It's going to be thrown out. So the Guru is trying again and again, and sometimes using quite strong analogies, quite harsh words to say, you are focusing on the wrong thing. You're looking in the wrong direction. I remember when I was younger, I used to love watching this series called The X-Files, and there would always be this title sequence that would come right at the beginning of every episode, and it would end with a huge quote, and the quote would say, "The truth is out there." Now, the spiritual masters have said that this is how you're living your life. We believe that there's some secret out there. We believe that there is some joy to life that we haven't quite figured out yet, and it's out there somewhere, and we just need to keep trying harder and harder, struggling more and more to find it. We need to put more time, more effort into trying to get those things that are out there. But the masters have also taught us that that is not the truth. The truth is not out there. The truth is right here. The truth of joy and peace and bliss, which is ultimately what we're all looking for, is already within you. The problem is we don't know what we're looking for, and so we don't know where to look or how to look. We don't know how to achieve these things. How do we access this joy? We know how to go out and buy things. We know how to create relationships. We know how to obtain that bliss. How do we obtain this inner bliss that's already with us? And this is where the Guru carries on. Aisaa satgur je milai, tisno sir sa-upee-ai, vichahu jaa-ay. But if you find such a true Guru who removes the self from within, surrender your head to them. Now, if you're looking for treasure, then your treasure map is the most important thing to you. Until you find it, the map is the thing that helps you, and that's the thing that you're going to value the most. And if we're looking for internal peace, if we're looking for an awakened way of living, then the guide is the Guru. And that Guru is the path to this treasure. And how does this Guru work? The Guru first starts by helping us to recognize where not to look for peace. Don't look for peace in the material world. Don't look for peace in external pleasures. So the Guru is really shining a light on how life works, how we think, how we've been misguided by the world. And this is that word maya, that being fooled by it, being deluded by it. And the Guru is trying to show you that there is an even higher bliss. Yes, these things bring you joy. Yes, they bring you temporary pleasures, but notice how those pleasures never last. Notice how you're not able to fully find that sustained serenity. So you're always just chasing and looking for something new. And the Guru is saying there is a higher bliss that is sitting inside every single human being. But it's on the other side of the delusion. You have to go behind the dazzling lights of the world. You have to access it, and there is a technique to accessing it. The technique is that you have to remove the biggest obstacle that's stopping you from recognizing this bliss that's within you. What's the biggest obstacle? You. You have to remove you. Now this sounds completely strange, and no matter how many times we hear this, it sounds so bizarre. And if we want to receive true peace, then how is it that we can't be there? You might raise so many questions in your minds, and you might wonder, if I'm not here to experience this bliss, then how am I going to be in bliss? It doesn't seem to make any sense at all. And so this is how the Guru has time and time again tried to really lovingly and beautifully explain the mechanism and the psychology of suffering. The Guru has said time and time again, all your suffering in life, remember suffering, why we're talking about suffering? Suffering is the opposite of bliss. All suffering in life happens by attachments with the I am. There is an I am inside us, and the I am attaches itself to lots of different things, and the things that it attaches to, the things that it builds bridges with, what it's built a bridge with can't last. Everything around you is always changing, and you build bridges with as many different things as you can to try and create this illusion of stability in your life. And as long as all these things stay, all of these things that I've spent a lot of time and effort to build bridges with, to attach onto, if they just stay as they are, I'll be fine. But you notice that life doesn't work in that way. Life is constantly changing. Small things are changing, big things are changing. There are so many things that we cannot control. So you're trying to build bridges with things that cannot last. In one way or another, they cannot be stable. So you have to find this stability from somewhere else. You can't find the stability by holding on to things. And this is what the Guru is trying to say to you time and time again. Your suffering is because there is an I am that has built attachments. And if you want to experience bliss, then you have to do something different. You have to get rid of the I am. And the Guru is time and time again demonstrating how does the I am even get formed. Remember, we looked at this verse which was talking about how the I am is formed from a very young age. It starts with attachments to when we were young, attachments to our parents, attachments to toys, attachments to our friends. And as we grow up, we get attached to ideas and ideologies and attached to how we want to construct our own lives and what kind of people we want to be. We are constantly attaching to the world that's always changing, and we're always changing our attachments. And the Guru is trying to show you this is how your suffering is formed. And this verse is telling us, if you find the Guru who removes the self, who removes the I am, then volunteer your head and give up your I amness. That's the price that you have to pay. What I love about this line is that it gives us a very clear definition of what the true Guru is. If you ever want to ask yourself this question, am I following the right path? Am I following the right person? Is this guidance giving me the absolute truth? Is this a Guru who I should spend my time with? The definition of the Guru is given here. The one who removes the illusion of the self, the one who gets rid of the self, the I amness from within you. And what this also defines is who is a real spiritual seeker. The real spiritual seeker is the one who is trying to surrender the head, the one who is willing to give themselves up, to give their I amness up, who's willing to pay that price to get rid of suffering and to bring home bliss and peace. And this message of giving your head is something that has been consistent throughout the Sikh tradition. It starts with Guru Nanak Dev Ji all the way through to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and now we see it in the Shabad Guru, Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Remember that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has this beautiful verse that so many of us are familiar with. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, "Jo to prem khelan ka chao, sir tar tali gali mere aao." If you want to play this game of love, then step onto my path with your head in your hand. It marg pair tarije, sir dije, kaan na kije. When you place your feet on this path, do not hesitate or be concerned in giving your head. And so we get this message right from Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying, if you want to learn from this Guru, there is a price to be paid, and the price is your head. And we see the same thing with Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Those of you who are familiar with the story of the Vaisakhi event at 1699, what does Guru Gobind Singh Ji ask for? He asks for five times he asks for people who is willing to give their head. In a crowd, he makes this big announcement. Who amongst you has understood that you're at any point expected to completely surrender everything that you know yourself to be? So Guru is asking you time and time again, give your head. The question now becomes, what does he mean? Is it a physical or is it something more? How do we give our head up? It starts with a recognition. The very first step is to recognize that we all have struggles in life, and there is a way to set yourself free. There's a way to be free from this. In the next line, the Guru continues, "Jis da jee-o tis mil rahay, har vasai man aaye." You will unite with whom your being belongs to, and Hari will embed in the mind. So we're now starting to understand that the giving of the head involves something. It involves a union. It involves dropping a sense of separation. This is what the definition of giving your head is now. That you need to unite with something greater. You need to dissolve yourself. You need to get rid of the idea that I am separate. That's how you get rid of the I am. The idea, the experience, the thoughts in your head, those that make you convinced these are mine and they are no one else's, that idea needs to drop. So that you reach a point where there is absolutely no difference between you and life. Everything is life. Everything is Hari. Nothing is mine. Nothing is me or you. Nothing belongs to you. Nothing is yours. Now, when we start talking like this, I always want people to take a step back and reflect on their own relationship. What is your relationship with whatever you think this divine or God is? Notice, is it something that is a part of me, or is it always something else? Is it always something that we're seeking that's far away? And if you realize that that is my experience, that this is, I always think of it as something that's far away, then over time, with the Guru's grace, with the Guru's guidance, with practice, with more and more exposure to this wisdom, you will find it easier and easier to drop this selfhood, to drop this idea that I am separate. That becomes easier. And at first, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of resistance. I'm sure there's going to be uncertainty because you feel like you're being asked to give up something that's too precious. You feel like you need to protect that which you've known your whole life. And the Guru is trying to show you a wisdom. The Guru is trying to show you that what you think is precious, what you think is a rose is filled with thorns. And the more that you hold on to it, the more you're going to harm yourself. The more you're going to get hurt by holding on to what you perceive to be a rose, which is the I am. But the Guru is saying it is not a rose, it is a thorn. It is something that is only going to damage you more. There is actually a real rose inside you. There is actually something far more precious that is waiting to blossom within you. But you haven't understood that which you thought was precious is nowhere near as precious or as important as that which is what you truly are. And you need to just become more and more familiar with this idea that nothing can be held on to. Absolutely nothing in life is yours. Not even yourself is yours. You don't even belong to yourself. This body is out of your control. What it's going to do and when it's going to give up is absolutely out of your control. So we need to recognize that we have built bridges with a world that is sinking. We have built attachments with everything that is drowning. Even your own body is sinking. And when we hear this, it's not to start to cause panic. It's to awaken you to realize, I need to stop doing this. I need to go and find something that is absolutely true and permanent. Otherwise, every single thing around me is collapsing. And so this is what the Guru is constantly trying to say to you. Nothing is yours. Nothing can be held on to. Everything already belongs to life, to the universe, to Hari. Everything is already belonging to it. And that Hari is also within you. It's already in your being. It is already the true owner of everything. And when we see that, we understand that nothing in your life has to change. No one is asking you to give up anything, but the owner has to change. The idea that everything is mine has to change. And this is where the Guru is saying, Har vasai man ai. The divine Hari starts to embed within your mind, because it's only the mind in which the ego is residing. It's only in your mind where your ego has not allowed the true owner to enter, to shine. The mind has always created the me or myself as the gatekeeper to everything else. And this reminds me of a story of how the second Guru, Guru Angad Dev Ji, first met Guru Nanak. Before he was titled a Guru, his name was Lehna. And the name of Guru Nanak had become quite popular. And Lehna, paa-i-aa Ji, as we lovingly refer to him, the second Guru, heard about Guru Nanak and decided, I want to go meet this Guru. And so paa-i-aa Ji goes to where Guru Nanak lives. And in those days they were traveling on horses, and paa-i-aa Ji was on his horse, and when he came really near to the town where Guru Nanak lived, he saw an old man, and he asked the old man for directions and said, I'm going to visit Guru Nanak, can you show me the way? And the old man said, sure, no problem, I'm going in that same direction, I'll take you there. And paa-i-aa Ji's sitting on his horse, and the old man is just kind of walking along. And as soon as they get to a house, the old man says, tie your horse up outside and then you can go into the house. And when you go into the house, Guru Nanak is waiting for you. And paa-i-aa Ji goes and ties his horse up, and he enters the house, and he sees that the old man is sitting in that house. And he begins to realize, what have I done? This is Guru Nanak. The person who has been guiding me to this is Guru Nanak. And he realizes, remember that he's trying to go find a spiritual master. Remember, he's trying to go find us a enlightened being, the ones who are the most respected in Indian culture. And he realizes that all this time, I was sitting on the horse and I was allowing Guru Nanak to walk. Where was my pride? Why was I not able to recognize what was right in front of me? And I think this story is such a beautiful metaphor for how we all act. The divine is already sitting inside of us, but we don't know how to look. We don't know that what we're looking at is the divine. We don't know that the divine is already sitting in our home. And we don't know how to recognize this, that Hari is already sitting inside of us. And by Hari, we're not talking about some God that's far away. We're talking about the very essence of life, the very vibration of life. This has been called Onkar, it's been called Shabad, it's been called Naam, Hukam. This power of life is already inside of us. And everything belongs to this power of life. Nothing belongs to us. Our aliveness is its aliveness. This body is its body. It's not our body. And it's only our stubborn mind that thinks it's ours. It's only our mind that's been trying so long to hold on to this idea of me that is just not willing to go any further. And so it's our own self-importance that's really fooled us into valuing the whole world as me or mine, thinking about things as belonging to us. And the one who's surrendered this idea of me, this I amness, the one who has given their head, realizes one simple fact. Nothing is mine. Everything belongs to this oneness. So you will now meet the true owner of life. You will now realize the true owner of life is sitting here. There is a union. There is a separation between you and this oneness that begins to drop. And so the oneness is first something that you must find within yourself. Don't go looking for it outside. Because it is outside, but when it's outside and you haven't understood that it's within you, you won't be able to recognize what you're looking at. You won't be able to see it clearly. You first have to understand that it is sitting within your own home. So the question is, who is in your mind right now? In our experience of life, who is it that we can say is present? Who is it that is here? And you'll see, if you're honest with yourself, that there is a me here. This presence that I feel seems to be called me. I think it's me. And so you'll understand that in our mind right now, there is only a me. There is only a I am or a myself. And the me will very quickly jump to its own defense. And it'll say, hey, but I'm not a bad me. I'm not a bad person. Now your mind, the me, might care about lots of other people, might be very friendly and loving, might be very kind, but it is all happening from the perspective of me. The whole journey of life is being conducted with me as the driver. And so with the Guru's grace, with the grace of this wisdom, that me slowly starts to dissolve. And Hari, life, the force begins to dwell within you, within your mind. Think about this example when followers of the Sikh tradition, the Sikhs, go to the spiritual temple, go to the Gurdwara, they always first start by bowing in front of their Guru. And that is a very physical representation to show I surrender myself. But you have to ask yourself, is this bowing something that we're doing just on the outside? Or are you genuinely willing to let go of this idea of me? Is there some idea in your head that blocks this notion that I have to give me up? Are there some excuses that your mind will make? Does your mind say things like, this sounds good, but it's for the spiritual people. I don't need all of this spirituality in my life. I just need a little bit. I just need to find a little bit of peace. Maybe I'll just put some spirituality music, or I'll practice some yoga, or I'll just do some chanting. That's all I need. I don't need to give me up. My life is okay. Everything is fine. You know, how am I going to really give this up? It sounds good, but I've got responsibilities. I have children to look after. If I don't have a me, who's going to look after my children? If I don't have a me, how is my business going to run? How am I going to do my work? And so there's so many questions that will arise, and so many ways in which the mind tries to defend itself, in which the ego that is the only thing that you've ever known, that ego starts to now start defending itself, starts to become threatened that someone is trying to take me away. And so you have to really question yourself, am I genuinely willing to give all of this up? You know, sometimes people don't know what it's going to be like. They don't know how are we going to function in the world. I get a lot of time people coming and speaking to me, and when they do, and they've heard some of my talks, they don't want to say the word I, or me. I ask them, what do you do? Or tell me a little bit about yourself. And they say, well, I am like this. And they straight away start feeling guilty. And they think that I'm not even allowed to use these words, I. What I always say to them is, you're allowed to use the word. The word isn't the problem. You need to start learning to function at two different levels. You need to learn to play the game of life from two levels. One in which you're involved and detached at the same time. You can use the word I or me, but you don't have the idea that it is a real me. The word I is a really useful word. How are you going to say basic sentences like I am hungry, I am thirsty? The word I is not the problem. The word me is not the problem. The idea that I am is the problem. And so we start to learn through the Guru's wisdom, how do we function in life using these ideas of words, using words like me and mine, using our capacity, our body, our lives to look after our friends and family, to carry out our duties. We do all of those things. But there is a part of us that's completely detached, knowing that all of this is a game, knowing that all of this is a castle built of sand, that it's going to come crumbling down at any time. And I'm sure you can think of a time in your life where you've played a game with someone who is taking the game far too seriously. Think about that time where you begin to question, don't you know that this is just a game? Why are you taking it so seriously? And you wonder, why are they not able to see what you're able to see? And you learn that I can play this game and I can try to participate the best I can, and I'm going to try and play it the best way that I can. But there's a part of me that knows it's a game. And by knowing it's a game, really what you're saying is, I'm just here to have fun. It really doesn't matter whether I win or lose. And this is where the Guru has tried to say, this is also a game. Life is also a game. And the Guru is trying to give us the exact same lesson, saying, don't you know that all of this is going to go? Don't you know that this is a game? Can't you play this game from two levels where you're involved and detached at the same time? This is how we begin to now understand, how do we function in life? How do we really give our head? What does it mean to surrender the I am, but still function in the world? The Guru goes on to say, Har aap amulak hai, bhaag tinaa ke naankaa, jin har palai paa-ay. O Nanak, Hari is invaluable, and so is their fortune who have Hari in their grasp. How fortunate are those people who receive this priceless gift, this gift of learning how to play the game of life, learning how to navigate and find the treasure that's within them. Remember, the treasure is bliss. The treasure is serenity that says, no matter what happens in life, I am at peace. I am at peace because I am not attached to anything, not even the I am itself. Everything belongs to the oneness, nothing belongs to me. How precious, how valuable would that be, that awakening be in your life? Someone who's awakened to their true self, that's the most important thing. And so this is what becomes the thing that you are going to now try and achieve. This becomes the thing that is worth putting all your effort in. If it's the most valuable, then it's also the highest priority in your life. And so with this newfound wisdom, with this new direction in your life, you're now starting to walk the path of bliss, of finding bliss and peace in your life. And everyone else around you is not going to understand. The world considers people who are wealthy and rich to be the most fortunate ones. Think about this word fortunate. Somebody who has gained a fortune, someone who has gained the biggest wealth. And we think that it's those people who are the most fortunate. Sometimes we may think that, well, money is not everything, but recognition, people recognizing you, thinking of you as important, having fame, respect, power, success, those people are most fortunate. There will be others that think that actually none of those things are important. The luckiest ones are the ones that have family relationships, the ones that have loving bonds with people, the ones that have loving friendships. They're the real lucky ones. But the Guru is saying the richest person is none of these. The most fortunate person is somebody who understands how to lose everything and has gained the most priceless gift in life, the gift of peace. And the Guru says these are the only fortunate ones. Anyone who doesn't achieve this is unfortunate. Everybody else has failed in the game of life. Everybody else has played it in the wrong way because they played it to gain things out of life. And the ones who understood played life to gain peace, to surrender everything, to give everything up, knowing that the game is ultimately one of losing. And so this is the most fortunate one. And we can take statements like, God is precious. You know, how many times have you heard things like this? You know, spirituality is the most important thing in my life. You know, God is priceless. And we can easily dismiss these lines as just cliches, things that are meaningless. But really, there is a subtle message here that there is a union, there is a part of you that you haven't yet found. And that union is priceless. That finding the true part of you. This is what the word Hari means. Never think of it as something that's outside. That true part of you that you have yet to discover, that is the most priceless thing. And when we unite with this most priceless gift, then we realize that we had it all along. It was sitting there in our home all this time. And to miss it is the ultimate tragedy. Imagine the spiritual masters who have found it, and they're looking at the rest of the world and they're thinking, wow, you don't know what you have. You don't know what is already sitting inside your own home. This peace, this bliss, this true you that is bigger than the I am, bigger than the ego, the ultimate connection with the universe, that is what you really are. Nothing else comes close. When you discover that this is who you are, nothing else is more important than the mind grasping the ultimate reality of who you really are and being in ultimate tranquility, serenity, and bliss. Answer these questions either by writing them down or by discussing them in your groups. What things do you value in life, and how do you decide what is valuable? What spiritual efforts have you made in life? Which efforts do you feel have succeeded and which have failed? How can you surrender your head to the Guru?